Yo, so I just want to point out this is therapy for us all. Like week in, week out. We look forward to it. Listen,
Fellas,
it's
it's
just
gonna be one of them nights.
it's gonna be. I'm telling you. When do you tell your potential dates, new dates, when you have kids? Who want to take the first crack at it?
Look, I think it might be me, man. I've been out here. So, for me, to be honestly, I think the moment I tell them is like maybe in conversation it comes up, but when I see that they're going to be around, potentially long term. Otherwise, I don't even mention it because they're not going to meet them anyway. But generally, that's when I would go about it. I would say, okay, this person has potential. This person, let me make sure they understand, what I got going on. And at that moment, that's generally when I bring up the topic. And in some cases, they'd be like, "Oh, I ain't here to be nobody's stepmom." You know what I mean? So, but at the end of the day, I think it's ideally when I see they're going to be around for a while.
Okay. Who else want to go at it?
I feel kind of the same way. It's kind of situational. Um, if it's just going to be like a fun time, then probably won't. But if I think there's any potential at all, I'll mention it because that's a big part of my life, and if they, you know, gives you perspective onto where they're at too. So
Just like my man alluded to, that's a very, very important part of my life. And so that's something I'll tell them off the top. Because it's something that they got to know that they'll never, they're not gonna come before that. You know what I'm saying? So I just got to set that. That's setting the standard off the top. You got to set the standard. You got to make sure they understand where they at on the priority chain.
Because
They're like,
let me tell you this.
Big Mike, what you got? What do you?
Like, so I really like, I tend to gravitate toward people who already know me that I've maybe never even been in a situation with, but, just friendship and who know me, so I'm like my selection uh, strategy is a little different. But so usually I don't have to, unpack that I have four children on anyone that I'm seeing. But I just come right out with it. You know what I'm saying? I'm proud of my my trophies. So
he asked you the question: "Do you have kids?" You say you had kids.
Depends on where I know this person is going to be. You know what I mean? Like if she's never going to be anything, nope.
No, man, I'm not lying.
that was
That's the
what I was
truth.
about to ask. Man. You just
Hey, but look, I think if the situation is what is, if it's going to be a jump off move, I think it's going to organically not ask about kids because it doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? Y'all own what y'all own. But if you gotta let them know because they gotta understand, like, yo, this is gonna be my priority. So if the kids call, the kids need something, I gotta go. You know what I'm saying?
I
I
mean,
gotta move
but if
there.
they're jump offs, a lot of times though, I mean, let's be clear, jump offs don't know they jump offs until like they get ghosted.
Facts.
Like, you know what I mean? Like we know from gate, like
Yeah.
this is gonna be a jump off.
Yeah,
But
like I
she
know you're
don't
here for a
think
fun
that. Like,
time,
you know what
not
I'm
a
saying? She
long
don't think
term.
she's gonna be a jump off. But I know she's gonna be a jump off. So like, well, you got a kid? No.
Yeah, folks jumping in the
She might
octagon,
be
not
one of
realizing
your
they about to
fault.
get knocked out.
Huh?
For the
There's
most
no
part,
point.
man, yeah, I'm avoiding that conversation. I'm avoiding telling you my real name. so, so I'm definitely not telling you, any unique identifiers about me, So yeah, so
Period.
I definitely think that's I think it goes a long way to be able to answer truthfully. I think you should definitely answer truthfully, but yeah, it's not something that I'm actually volunteering either though.
Period. So that takes us into the next question, right? Do you feel like having kids hinders your dating options? Who wants to go first?
Absolutely.
I'm getting it on
With respect to availability, for sure. And then, like, I'm so committed, you know what I mean, to youth soccer and cheer and, you know, the concerts and stuff like that, you know, all that shit happens on Saturdays and Sundays, you know what I mean, in the morning. So my Friday night, like, if I want to, you know what I mean, like, I gotta watch myself Fridays. You know what I mean? I can't slide down, you know, too far down the rabbit hole because I gotta be up at 7. You know what I'm saying? And I gotta be like an hour away on Sundays for cheer. Like, it's ridiculous. So just by you know, the weekends is the time, really, you know, that everyone's out playing, at adult time, and that's not really available to me. So I be needing a bitch that don't got shit to do during the day. During the week. You know what I'm saying? And then that slides me immediately into a certain type limits
That,
who got next?
it absolutely does hinder your, you know, it's hard. It makes it harder because it's time. So, right, basically I'm a full-time dad, right? So I only get, like, you know, 4 days off or 5 days off a month. So if I were to just start dating right now, that's a whole lot of time in between. And, you know, and then you add in sports, you know, we're talking just like Mike said, I mean, football and everything else, school. So yeah, it makes it difficult. But at the same time, what I found is everybody our age, they all understand. So everybody understands time crunch because they're time crunched. So I think that it makes it more difficult, but it's not a deal. You know? Everybody manages it. So
I got a little bit of a different perspective. Just me, I'm strategic by nature, so I used it to my advantage when I was, you know, when I was doing it. You know, to Mike's point, you know, obviously there was, you know, like you said, I had a lot of stuff going on, whether it be recitals or whatever, and a lot of that had to do. Okay, so that took me out of the whole brunch category, which I was fine with. But you know, what ended up happening was, like, you know, it was adult time only. So, and that was fine for me at that time. So I could see how it hinders you, but at the same time, man, I worked it to my advantage for what I wanted it to do. But eventually, and then for me, I, you know, because of my time being so spirit, I didn't think it was even smart for me to date somebody who actually had kids, so I didn't. Um, so it's just one of those things where, you know, I just used it to my advantage and I made it work for me. But I could totally see how, you know, definitely that time constraints and, you know, oh, well, you know, I don't have the time to go and just randomly do stuff because my time was spoken for. So it definitely can be an issue, but, you know, you make time for what you really want to do though. So, you know, I didn't really have too many issues that way.
In my history, having kids definitely has like hindered the dating options. Right? There's times where I've been upfront and they were like, "Oh, you got kids?" Like say the vibe is cool and like straight, and I'm like, "Oh man, I'm feeling this girl." And then I'd be like, "Oh, I got at the time like 2 kids, right?" So I'm like, man, I got 2 kids, blah 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 blah. I take care of my kids. And there was nothing I could have said, but if she don't got no kids and you got kids, and like I definitely find there's a hindrance there.
yeah, I agree.
Um, you know what I mean? Especially with the kind of women I'm attracted to. You know, and like we had a show about what kind of women we would generally pick, you know, to even be in a relationship with. So
Thank
for
God.
that criteria, a lot of them girls don't have kids. You know what I mean? And I lucked up now, but a lot of them girls don't have kids, and they're not interested in being stepmom just as much as we're not interested in being stepdad in a lot of cases. You know what I mean? So sometimes I guess that's it. Kind of was like it kept me to keep my mouth shut about when it was, especially if I'm not thinking like long term about the situation. You know what I mean? But I would say for us, it definitely hinders some. Well, it's hindered my dating options. I know there's. Do you honor the wishes of the other parent when it comes to your dates? We all been there. Don't have this chick around my kids. Don't do this. Don't do that. All these different criterias on how you should date and have women date and women around your kids and any of that. Should we honor any of these requests?
Now, I mean, I was conflicted, in the beginning. Like right now, I don't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? But I do find myself like treading lightly and avoiding certain situations and conversations to make the road smoother. But I have found that that is not the path. That's not the right way to do things. The most, I mean, well, I'm still learning, but it seems to me that the most effective thing is to just keep it 100 and to do what the fuck you're gonna do anyway, no matter what. Because what the fuck, bitch? What? You know what I'm saying? So, like, how in your mind are you logically thinking that you can be able to say anything to me about anything that I'm doing when I'm doing it? But like, yeah, like I'm sorry for cussing, but like so, and but and then you see how the emotions just raised up in me. Like I'm a little bit
You
right
said
now.
it's fresh. It's fresh.
You know what I'm saying? So like, how like that it bothers me, and I had to find ways to make it like the audacity, the unmitigated gall to even be able to make such requests. You know what I'm saying? Like that offends me. I'm offended, and no one cares. You know what I'm saying? And that bothers me too.
I
So
care. I care.
thank you. And to have like for instance, all of us, the women that we've had or were with or divorced or whatever, how we were in extended relationships with them. They trusted us. They lived with us. They loved us. They had children for us. You know what I'm saying? How the fuck you can't trust me to keep the kids safe? You know what I'm saying? Like you're just being petty. You're trying to make shit hard. Like you're being weird. Like you think I'm gonna put them in any type of danger? Like you know what I'm saying? Like on the other hand, I don't trust your judgment. You know what I'm saying? So maybe that's it's a catch-22. Like I don't really know. I don't have I don't have the overstanding of the situation yet. You know what I mean? I'm still on the ground level with this. So I'm sure one of you guys probably I could defer to. You know what I'm saying?
Man, like I've been there. Like I'm like, how does this make sense? But to answer the question, no. You have to trust your judgment, and this goes back to I don't know, it was like 4 shows ago when we talked about if your significant other or ex, if they trusted your judgment and they were willing to follow your leadership, they would still be with you. But the fact that they didn't, like y'all are no longer necessarily making decisions for each other.
Right.
So at that point, that's exactly where I was like, you know
Bombs.
what? I'm doing what I'm doing. And at that moment, that's when I was like, hey, this is what I'm doing. And furthermore, what I end up finding out. So obviously they were trying to do both. They were trying to run what was going on in my house and theirs. But then when the shoe was on the other foot, literally there was no consideration taken at all. So yeah, you do what's best for you, and obviously you got your kids' best interest at heart, but you definitely do what's best for you and do what's best for the kid without truly playing into what that other person's wishes are. Because at the end of the day, you're not making decisions for them. Let them do them over there. Stay over there.
I
It's
never
real, man.
I never even considered her feelings towards any of it because I got my own moral code. I got my own code. I know what's best for me and I know what's best for my son. And I don't need anybody to tell me how to do any of it. So it's not even a question of me, I never even thought of it. The thought never came in my head. So, I'm be doing the right things because that's the right thing to do for my son. And I don't bring women around my son for months. I got to date him for months before I would even consider it. So, and regardless of what my ex does, that's on her. That's her cross the bear. She has to deal with all of her, all of her decisions. I'll deal with mine. And I don't need anybody to tell me anything because I got my own set of code. That's it. That's really what it is.
Because who you deal with says more about you than anything. I want my kids to know, like, yo, this is the standard that your dad is on. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is where we at. And also, I want her to see it and just kill herself. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things, like, you know what I mean? Being honest. You know what I'm saying? You always want to. I want a significant upgrade. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? A significant upgrade. So that's the reason why I haven't brought anybody around yet, because I don't think they make that criteria, that standard. And even with her, like, I asked for certain things, like, hey, listen, when you get somebody, let's just do them, let's talk. But that doesn't happen. You know what I'm saying? Because again, people are who they are. You know what I mean? And they're gonna manage their household how they manage their household, and that's on them. But for me, that's the biggest thing, man. I want to make sure when I do decide to bring that person around the children, that's another standard. Like, you know what I mean? Because I got a son. My son is almost 17. I want him to look at me and shake his head like, yeah, Dad, you got that. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I see you.
Bro, with it. So for me, I've destroyed plenty of relationships trying to respect the wishes of the other. Like, it's crazy the amount of weird things that I was, because I was young when I had my first two kids, and I was just like, I was trying to do things the right way and didn't necessarily understand my power, didn't necessarily understand who I needed to be as a father or as a leader. I just didn't understand a whole bunch, right? And none of us really came from the prototype home, so it's like we're all trying to work our way through the best way, right? And me being raised by mostly women, hearing how situations that they're dealing with, and me trying to vibe within that to make it like, well, my mom and my grandma said this and this and that, so maybe I should listen to her this way or listen to this that way. And I'm applying these different things that really don't make any sense. You know what I mean? But in that, I've probably destroyed at least 3-4 relationships. Just trying to appease how I was dating and what I was doing, you know what I'm saying, with the kids for the other parent, you know what I mean? Because I was trying to keep a co-parenting healthy situation, not understanding that the only way to do that is to have complete control over the situation. And which, we go back to what I was saying before is we should have full custody and, be leaders and lead accordingly. Because, I just don't feel like women have the moral compass or wisdom or leadership to make the decisions that we need to make and do what's best for the collective. You know what I mean? I think it's all selfish needs. So I've destroyed relationships to where, like, I was dating one girl, and she worked at a store, and she would bring home gifts for my daughter or whatever, and we're like, hey, I just found this little cute little book bag, and I'd be like, no, she has a mother. Don't buy her nothing. You know what I mean? Like, I was that retarded with it. With, you know what I mean, with trying to make sure that I wasn't crossing any lines, or even when I dated other opportunities, it was like I would always put out, like, I didn't date for a mother in the home. I dated for a wife for me and whatever's going to come from that situation. But that was also wrong because I should have been thinking about what kind of mother that was going to be in my home. You know what I mean? Even though they had a mother, but that mother's not present. You know what I mean? So being that mother's not present, I have complete control. I should have been thinking, well, these kids need a mom, opposed to they got a mom and I'm gonna just move with a whole nother situation. And it kind of left them feeling weird and neglected in something in different ways. So I've definitely made some wrong decisions on trying to appease the other parent, and I regret every single one of them. You know what I mean? So
But you thought you were doing the right thing at the time.
right, I thought I was doing the right thing, but
So you're
I wasn't.
doesn't, we're always, none of us are perfect, man. We all make mistakes. But you thought you thought you were doing the right thing, and that's really important part because it came from love for your kid that you were trying to protect them. So
Right.
no,
But what I'm gonna put out there is dating with when you have kids, you have to date with this person can be a stepmom, even though you're saying you might not say this person is going to be the stepmom. But you have to think like, what kind of motherly qualities do this person have? Because she's going to be my kid's stepmom. The current question is, when do you bring people you're dating around your kids?
Man, I just have to reiterate what I said earlier, man. When I feel like it's, you know what I mean, it's something that I think is going to be substantial and something that we can, you know what I mean, something that's going to be real. Then I probably start, like I said, introducing the kids into the conversation. And then once I introduce them to the conversation, if she seems like she's still down, then maybe I start introducing the kids to, into her life. But it's definitely no rush on that. For me, it's just like, you know, uh, I need to know where your head's at. I need to know if you like kids, if you want kids. You know what I mean? What your ideas are with dating with, men with kids. And, I got little ways to, kind of figure that kind of information out. But, you know what I mean? I think for me, it would just be like, when I felt out the situation, I felt like it was, this situation is moving in a positive direction, and this girl is dope. Then I'd be like, okay, well, look, this is the situation, this is what's going on, and kind of gauge how she felt about it. So I mean, I don't have a timeline on that. I can't tell you 2 months, 3 months, a year, whenever that is. I'm just tell you, we gonna kick it, we gonna have a good time, and then when that good time starts to feel like it's happening more and more often, and you know what I mean, and we enjoying each other's company, then a conversation got to be had.
So Kev, before we move on to a new topic, I do want to push back a little bit.
I'm not moving on because I ain't go yet.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. So I get that, like, the foundation and the piece just to even qualify to meet the kid is one thing, but the kid actually plays a part. And like, I know they're not necessarily part of the relationship, but they definitely play a part. Like, once obviously you've made it to the final boss at that point, and at that point, that's when they're actually meeting the kid, and then they have to interact well, and because without that, okay, well, save the game, it's over. Because at that point, like, I'm not about to move forward, even though that they don't mesh, and you might not like the kid or vice versa. So they definitely play a part in it, but it's just I'm already vetting them and making sure that they even qualify to meet the kids. So they definitely play a part. It's just not in the initial phases that I feel that they do.
Yeah, and I'd like to add too that I want to see how she interacts with her children as well. That's important to me too. So I think it does play a large part. How you get along with their kids, how they get along with yours, how you guys get along with each, your own children. I think that's all vital information to make those decisions of, becoming a, serious relationship. And the age of the kid too, probably. I think I'd have been a lot, I have a teenage son, and I think it's easier for me because he's an understanding. He understands what's going on. Like if he was 5, I don't know. I don't know how. It'd probably be a lot harder for me.
All right, so I'm different from all y'all. I say right away.
Right away?
Right away. Right. So if she has kids, our first date is a kid date. Like, I need to see now what's going on. Like, especially because I already know what I want from a woman from the time I meet her. You know what I mean? Like, for me, it's like if everybody starts with an A. Remember how they used to say that in class? First day of class, everybody has an A.
It's up to you to keep it. Yep,
it's up to you to keep it. You know what I mean? So if I already gave this person an A and it's up to her to keep it right away. Now, like I said earlier, jump offs are jump offs, so you're not even going to know. You know what I mean? But if it's somebody I already was like, I'll marry her. Like, you know what I mean? Right away. Like, you know what I'm saying? So if she has kids, the first date is a kid date. If she don't have kids, I'm gonna figure out a way where she's gonna get around in a safe environment. Hey, meet me at the park. You know what I mean? And the kids could be over there. They'll be completely like not knowing what's going on. Who is this lady? They don't care. They're over there playing on the park. They have no clue on who this lady might be, but she's gonna be around them. And I just want to see how it all interacts, where she'll pick up, where she's not going to pick up. Is she going to kind of nurture to them? If we're at a park, if they fall, or is she going to come over and be like, oh, like, you know what I'm saying? And you can catch that right away. And then you're not wasting time thinking that somebody's cool. And then later on, like, you finally introduce them to your kid and they don't mesh. Like you said earlier, you wasted 6 months. You know what I mean? So, like I said, if I got kids and she got kids, first date is a kid date. You know what I mean? We going because I need to find out my kids are gonna like your kids.
That's tough, man.
Yeah, that was gonna be my pushback.
You know what I'm saying?
Like I'm not willing to. I'm not. You know, we talked about trauma. Like I'm not willing to risk that trauma or even have a certain level of attachment to somebody that, you know, like they just failed the test. Like, you're out of here, and they're gonna be like, "Oh, whatever happened to such and such? I wanted to go play with Timmy." And they're like, "Oh, we don't talk about them." You know, so you don't want that kind of a scenario. And furthermore,
I live that.
Right. And furthermore, what ends up happening, in my opinion, especially if you do it that early, man, you end up getting a representative. You know what I mean? Where that opposite person, they're being extra. Oh, you know,
I want the representative all the time.
But that's the thing. That's
the thing.
They're not going to be able to keep up.
They're gonna have to.
Like I wanted to already fatigue them to the point that when they actually met again, they were fatigued and they already being their authentic self.
No, this is a workout.
I want to see how you're gonna be in the fourth quarter.
Like, right, and it might suck in the fourth, but this is a workout. We're gonna work out until you can hang out in the fourth quarter. We're gonna run the extra sprints, extra hills. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, what I'm saying is, if somebody's giving me their representative, right? At the time that drops, I now have a standard in my head that they can perform at. And I need to figure out how I can get that performance back. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever. I still need the representative from the time we meet until the time we die.
Well, I got a question though. What if, like, you know, you guys meet, it's all good, and then y'all hook up, and she's trash in bed. And then you got your kid meeting all these, you know, like, I mean, I need.
We not women. We not
starfish.
Listen, man,
I don't want my kids women.
If somebody's trash in bed, we can fix it.
Okay.
I can fix somebody's trash in bed. That's not a problem. You know what I'm saying? You should be able to too.
I'm gonna stand down. This ain't the podcast for that. Okay.
I mean, but I'm just saying, you can't be like you can't make that a standard, because whatever she can't do, teach her. Like she gonna do something wrong anyway.
I'm gonna go ahead. Mute my mic.
So, like I said, if it is a representative, you know, I need to see it right away. And if she's not interested, she's gonna show you right away.
True. I did move up my timetable. I kind of do subscribe to that a little more now, but yeah, I can't do first date. I think that's a bit extreme. I think it was like 4 to 6 weeks. It was this last one.
You're talking about the kid. The kid ain't gonna even know for real. Like
they do.
Just playing.
They do.
Not really.
They do though.
How? I don't think so.
My kid's 14, so he knows.
Well, he knows at that point, but at that, like, they meet new people every day, all the time. You know what I mean? So they need to learn how to separate. Because what if they change schools or whatever? They're gonna have to learn how to, you know, build new friendships, get rid of some old ones. You know what I'm saying? These person's good for this situation. You're giving the kid practice too.
Well, I mean, I didn't want mine to have that type of practice. I wanted to have the sturdiest foundation that they could have, and I was willing to take all those darts and all those arrows to have that level of stability in their life, and then I could introduce them once they actually were properly vetted and at that point, then we can move forward. I wasn't willing to have that experimental stuff with the kid involved.
But I mean, experimental stuff. If you control the environment, even the experimental stuff, it gives you a chance to, Leifer says this all the time. It's teaching moments. So let's say you're around this person and she says something inappropriate or whatever. You can address that. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, we're not doing this. We're not doing that. And your kid can also get that, like, oh, daddy ain't for this. And that scenario wouldn't have came without that person interacting in the situation. You know what I'm saying? So that just gave you a reason to have a teaching moment.
Okay, Leifer, are you gonna your first time cutting up that poisonous blowfish? Are you gonna let your daughter try it?
Good question. Probably not, but
Exactly.
you know what I mean. I'm thoughtful about a lot of stuff that I do. You know what I mean. There's certain things that work for me, I wouldn't necessarily allow that to work for the kids. You know what I mean. I would address with caution. You know what I mean.
Yeah, you got to be super risk adverse. When it comes to kids.
Yeah, but at the same time, man, I want them to bump their head and I want them to fall a little bit. You know what I mean. Like I I'm an old head kind of thinker, so I don't really like, my kids being no little soft ass cookies. So I'm not trying to save them from the world. I just want to prepare them to be strong enough to save themselves from the world. So you know what I mean. A lot of that I'll let them just take on the head, but some of that I'll save them from, because it's just unnecessary. You know what I mean? Like
that's adult
one of my messages. You don't need to be in every one of my messages, but sometimes
right.
you have to take those lumps because that's what comes with relationships. You know what I mean? And you might be introduced to a few stepmoms before I find the right one. You
right.
know what I mean? But, so you have to take those lumps. You know what I mean? It just is what it is. It teaches you how to get over loss. You know what I mean? It teaches you how to move on and strengthen your emotional intelligence. So
I will say this: the environment won't be intimate. You know what I mean? Like I said, a park date, a cookout. It's not going to be an intimate environment. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of already a situation where they're used to meeting new friends, meeting new people, and kind of being like antennas up. You know what I mean? So if I had a cookout and I just, I met a girl and I got a little bit of vibe, like, hey, this person could be safe. Come through. You know what I mean? Whatever. Look, you laughing, right? Because, I'm inviting everybody to the cookout.
Everybody.
Everybody.
That's one of the most dangerous spots there is.
I'm inviting everybody to the cookout. You know what I mean? I'll invite 3 different potential stepmoms. Duke it out.
Relax. Relax. You gotta relax. You gotta
But
relax.
It's the truth. I'm just saying the truth. I'll have 3 stepmoms in the same environment. Let's see who nurtures the best.
And they out there fighting for the title.
Fighting for the title. They don't know it. Like, you know what I mean?
No, they know it. Oh,
they do. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know if they know it or not. But they'll all be in the same environment. They'll all be in the same space.
This baby got 3 plates, man. His stomach hurting.
That sounds like so much. That sounds like so much work to me.
So much work.
That's exhausting.
I be chilling.